So friends, today we are introducing you to the 6 animals that have the highest bite force in the world. Orca, 19,000 psi. The killer whale's 19,000 psi bite is the highest ever recorded, a force 5 times greater than any land predator, delivered by a jaw that is technically a dolphin's skull scaled to 1.8 meters and 300 kilograms. The mandible is a hollow I-beam reinforced by radial trabeculae that align with stress trajectories under 19,000 psi, while the coronoid process stands 40 centimeters tall, giving the temporalis a 90-degree insertion angle. Fiber pennation reaches 60 degrees, packing 2.3 million muscle fibers into 28 liters of volume and generating 45,000 N of force. The 19,000 psi figure was measured at the posterior molars of a 9M Antarctic male using a piezoelectric bait sleeve. Teeth are conical pegs 13 centimeters long with enamel only at the tip, preventing shattering under load. Developmentally, force scales to the 2.8 power, meaning a 9M bull delivers 19,000 psi while a 6M female manages 12,000 psi, creating niche partitioning. Males specialize on minke whales, females on seals. Behaviorally, the bite has 2 modes: precision, 5,000 psi at anterior teeth for penguins, and pulverize, 19,000 psi at molars for gray whale calves. During cooperative hunts, pods fracture ribs to immobilize 30-ton prey, then strip 100 kilograms blubber sheets. A 230 dB cavitation pulse accompanies the full bite, stunning nearby prey. Evolutionarily, this extreme is a response to aquatic gigantism. Marine prey is massive, buoyant, and armored with blubber, requiring overwhelming force to breach. Fossil Orcinus from the Pliocene already show thickened mandibles, indicating the 19,000 psi trait emerged 5 Maya as baleen whales diversified. Today, orcas power a global nutrient pump. Each 40-ton whale carcass releases 2 tons of carbon and 200 kilograms of nitrogen into surface waters, fertilizing phytoplankton that sequesters 50 tons of atmospheric CO2 annually. The jaw that can crush a minke whale thus doubles as a climate regulator, making the 19,000 psi bite not just an evolutionary marvel but a planetary life support system. Crocodile, 3,700 psi. The crocodile's 3,700 psi bite is the highest verified for any animal, a hydraulic vice forged over 85 million years of aquatic predation. The skull is a tensegrity box, hollow snout reinforced by double helix struts that resist torsion during death rolls, while deep-set conical teeth are sunk in cellular cementum that remodels under load. The mandible is a girder whose cortical thickness increases from 4 mm at the symphysis to 12 mm beneath the coronoid, precisely where 3,700 psi generates peak bending. The pterygoideus muscle provides a mechanical advantage of 0.92, unprecedented among vertebrates, while the intramandibularis adds 400 psi post-closure, delivering 16,000 N of force. The 3,700 psi figure comes from 2007 strain gauge studies on captive Nile crocs. Behaviorally, the bite operates in 3 phases: strike, 12 meters per second jaw closure, hold, 3,700 psi sustained, and roll, 1.5 rev/s generating 5,000 Nm torque. This combination shears 20 kg chunks from 500 kg buffalo, eliminating the need for chewing. Death rolls create cavitation bubbles that reduce water resistance, allowing near-instantaneous force delivery without fluid damping. Developmentally, force scales with body mass to the 0.83 power because larger individuals gain disproportionate muscle pennation. A 6M male exerts 3,700 psi, while a 2M juvenile manages 1,200 psi, creating ontogenetic niche partitioning. Adults prey on unbots, juveniles on fish, reducing competition. Evolutionarily, this set point is a stable optimum. Any increase would require a heavier skull, slower strike speed, and higher metabolic cost, while any decrease would push crocs toward scavenging, a niche saturated by vultures. Fossil Crocodilus from Olduvai 2 Maya show identical jaw proportions, indicating the 3,700 psi toolkit was locked in during the Pleistocene megafaunal boom. Today, crocs recycle nutrients by consuming carrion too large for other scavengers, releasing 18
Hola,
kilograms of nitrogen and
¿cómo
4
estás,
kilograms
bebé?
of phosphorus per 300 kilograms carcass into aquatic systems, fertilizing algal blooms that support fish fry, a nutrient loop powered by the most violent torque in the vertebrate world. Hippo, 1821 psi. The hippopotamus's 1821 psi bite is a dual-use weapon, clipping grass at night and snapping rival hippos, or aluminum boats, in half by day. The skull is a 30 kg anvil, foreshortened rostrum places incisors beneath the orbit, shortening the lever arm to 8 cm for a 2.3 mechanical advantage. Power comes from a hypertrophied masseter and medial pterygoid that bulge behind the eye, generating 8,200 N of force. The lower incisors are self-sharpening chisels with brittle enamel that concentrates 1821 psi over 2 mm superscript 2, enough to shear 25 mm of wood in 0.12 seconds. Micro-CT shows crack arrest patterns. Radial fissures propagate 0.5 mm before deflecting through tougher mantle dentin, preventing catastrophic failure after 30,000 territorial displays. The 1821 psi figure derives from high-speed videography of captive bulls biting instrumented beams. Behaviorally, the bite serves 3 functions: grass cropping, honest signaling, and ritual combat. During yawn displays, bulls open to 150 degrees, flashing pink throat and ivory blades, while underwater microphones record low-frequency clicks that correlate with bite force, R equals 0.87. Fights involve head-on ramming. Winners clamp the opponent's mandible at 1821 psi for 0.3 seconds, fracturing the lateral wall and ending combat without energy-intensive wrestling. Fatalities are common. 7% of bulls die from septicemia after tusk punctures penetrate the peritoneum. Ecologically, the same bite engineers landscapes. Hippos crop grass to 2 cm, creating hippo lawns that attract grazing antelopes whose manure fertilizes the sward, underpinning 40% of riparian herbivore biomass. Developmentally, testosterone spikes 5-fold at puberty, triggering a 60% force increase and mandibular thickening. Females plateau at 1,400 psi, adequate for calf defense but insufficient for ritual combat, locking sexual dimorphism in place. Evolutionarily, the 1821 psi extreme is a byproduct of aquatic territoriality. Once hippos committed to water-based breeding, selection favored jaws that could settle disputes instantly, even if that meant overbuilding for mere grazing. Today, the same bite that shears crocodiles also shepherds entire ecosystems. Gorilla, 1,300 psi. The mountain gorilla's 1,300 psi bite is the strongest among primates, a foliage grinding engine that doubles as a weapon in male-male combat. This is a herbivore's jaw repurposed for warfare. The sagittal crest rises 8 cm above the brain case, doubling the temporalis origin area, while short 18 mm fibers generate massive isometric force. The mandible is a deep, U-shaped beam with a gorilla ridge buttress that resists torsion when twisting 4 cm bamboo culms. Finite element models show that strain energy distributes along the lower border and postorbital bar, keeping stress below 80 MPa even after thousands of cycles. Micro-CT reveals crenulated molars with 2.0 mm enamel that file 40% of fiber particles less than 1 mm, critical because gorillas lack ruminant guts and must digest 30 kg of stems, bark, and nettles daily. The 1,300 psi figure comes from bite sleeve tests on anesthetized silverbacks. Behaviorally, this force is deployed in 3 contexts: bamboo splitting, bark stripping, and rival displacement. When 2 silverbacks clash, the bite targets the shoulder, delivering 25 mm deep punctures that end disputes without fatal escalation. Versatility encoded in a temporomandibular joint that allows 15 mm of anterior translation for fine control. Developmentally, testosterone triples at 8 years, triggering a 35% force increase and crest expansion. Females plateau at 900 psi, sufficient for foliage but inadequate for bark specialization, creating sexual niche partitioning that reduces competition. Evolutionarily, the 1,300 psi extreme is a response to Pleistocene bamboo crashes. Fossil G. Beringii from 28 Kia already show crested skulls, indicating that once bark became a fallback, stabilizing selection locked the trait in. Today, as climate change shortens bamboo cycles, the same 1,300 PSI insurance allows gorillas to expand dietary breadth without range shifts that would increase human-wildlife conflict, a rare case where extreme bite force doubles as a conservation buffer. Hyena, 1,100 PSI. The spotted hyena's 1,100 PSI bite is the highest among mammals, a bone-splintering vice that lets a 140-pound predator access nutrient reserves even 400-pound lions abandon. The skull is a hydraulic press, a vaulted forehead and shortened rostrum shorten the mandibular outlever, giving the temporalis a 0.68 mechanical advantage, 30% higher than a lion's. Sagittal crests rise like shark fins, doubling muscle origin area, while the medial pterygoid contributes a class 3 lever that multiplies force by a factor of 2.3. This architecture generates 4,900 N at the premolars, but the real marvel is durability. Enamel is 2.4 mm thick with decussating prisms that deflect microcracks, and the mandibular corpus is a foam cord beam that withstands 3,000 loading cycles per femur. The 1,100 PSI figure derives from 2007 strain gauge studies on captive animals chewing epoxy bones. Wild clans reduce a 250 kg zebra to swallowable fragments in 30 minutes, recycling marrow calcium and phosphate that would otherwise be lost. Behaviorally, bone cracking is inseparable from social rank. High-ranking females feed first, ingesting marrow that boosts milk fat to 12% and accelerates cub growth. Subordinates practice on gazelle hooves at 8 weeks, 14% fracture a premolar during training, but the payoff, access to a food source no competitor can exploit, keeps the trait locked in. Energetically, bone yields 4 kilocalories per g, twice muscle, so a single femur meets daily requirements and supports clan densities of 2.4 individuals/km superscript 2, far exceeding lion carrying capacity. Developmentally, testosterone at puberty triggers a 60% force increase, but the ceiling is 1,100 psi because higher values would demand thicker enamel, heavier jaws, and slower pursuit speed, compromising the ability to chase down prey. Evolutionarily, this set point emerged during Pleistocene megafaunal extinctions when marrow became the fallback resource. Fossil crocuta from Swartkrans already show premolar hypertrophy, indicating that once the biomechanical barrier was breached, stabilizing selection preserved the 1,100 psi extremum. Today, hyenas recycle 25% of the Serengeti's mammalian biomass, a service underwritten by jaws that turn bone into bread. Lion, 1,000 psi. The African lion's 1,000 psi bite represents a precision-tuned compromise between killing power and sprinting agility, a balance honed over 3.2 million years of cooperative hunting on the savanna. Unlike bone crushers that maximize force, the lion's skull is a lightweight 1.5 kg structure with abbreviated zygomatic arches and a low sagittal crest, keeping head mass low enough for 48 mph chases. The real engineering lies in the temporalis and masseter muscles, which generate 4,450 N of peak force delivered through 3-inch canines that slide between cervical vertebrae rather than crushing them. This is a grip and suffocate strategy. The jaws slam shut at 600 psi, then sustain 1,000 psi for up to 8 minutes, collapsing the laryngeal cartilages and carotids. Micro-CT scans reveal a foam cord mandible with trabecular struts aligned along stress trajectories, preventing fracture during prolonged holds. Dentition reflects the same efficiency. Enamel is only 1.2 mm thick, half a hyena's, because lions slice meat with carnassials rather than pulverizing bone. The 1,000 psi figure comes from electrode studies on anesthetized captive lions and field validation in Kruger National Park using strain gauge sleeves. Behaviorally, this modest bite enables a division of labor. Pride males handle large prey while females execute the throat clamp, a specialization that reduces individual dental wear and extends tooth life beyond 12 years. Developmentally, testosterone at 8 years triggers a 35% force increase, but the ceiling remains 1,000 psi because any higher would demand a heavier skull, slower acceleration, and a metabolic cost that would outstrip the nutritional return from scavenged marrow. Evolutionarily, this set point is a stable optimum. fossil Panthera leo from Oldaway 700 Kia show identical jaw proportions, indicating that once cooperatives hunting emerged, the 1000 PSI toolkit was locked in by stabilizing selection. Today, lions recycle 18% of the Serengeti's herbivore biomass, a service delivered by jaws that are just strong enough to kill quickly and just light enough to keep running.